From the silk-laced corridors of Doha to Beijing's neon command centers and Istanbul's underground intelligence vaults, a silent axis is forming, an alliance not born of treaties, but of mutual ambition and mutual threat. Qatar, Turkey, and China, three powers, each with their own scars from Washington's grip, are drawing lines in digital ink and shifting the global order behind velvet curtains. While diplomats smile in photo ops, a darker choreography plays out beneath the surface. Qatari satellites reroute data, Turkish drones circle the Mediterranean, and Chinese AI engines harvest strategic insights at scale. They trade not only goods, but silence, access, and precision. What binds them isn't ideology, but a shared goal, autonomy from American pressure. It's not an open war, it's a chessboard beneath the oil fields, above the clouds, and within our devices. This isn't tomorrow's world. It's already here. Welcome to the Shadow Alliance. The Velvet Thread. The alliance did not begin with generals or presidents. It began with bankers, coders, and cryptographers. In 2016, a discreet summit took place at the Mandarin Oriental in Geneva. Officially, it was a fintech conference. In reality, it was a meeting of minds from three nations with little in common. Until they realized they shared the same enemy, Qatar's elite representatives arrived under diplomatic immunity. Turkey's technocrats were flown in via private jets linked to Sadat. The controversial paramilitary firm China sent its usual ghosts. Low-profile, high-clearance intelligence technologists who barely spoke but recorded everything. The room was filled with tension, not mistrust, but ambition. Doha wanted to bypass American digital oversight on its financial transfers. Ankara sought deeper drone autonomy away from NATO influence. Beijing offered the key, a suite of quantum-encrypted communication protocols and cross-border data cloaking tech. No signatures were exchanged, but eyes were locked. The velvet thread was woven. By 2018, silent infrastructures were in motion. Chinese firms began constructing covert data tunnels under Qatari smart cities. Turkish drones tested encrypted airspace models near contested Greek waters, and Qatari satellites, quietly upgraded with Chinese firmware, began routing private communications far from NSA ears. What the world saw was economic partnership. What really formed was a three-pronged stealth network: finance, intelligence, and cyber sovereignty. The velvet thread had become unbreakable. The Geneva meeting would later be referred to in encrypted messages as the threading, a code word used across various offshore servers and diplomatic memos. Insiders from Qatar's Amiri Diwan reportedly flew directly from Geneva to Beijing in a non-logged aircraft. With no declared cargo, no diplomatic press, Turkish security agents embedded at the meeting were later assigned to drone programs co-funded by Qatari tech grants. Behind each movement was a principle: if you cannot beat American oversight, become invisible to it. And so the velvet thread was reinforced with something deeper than steel: shared paranoia. It wasn't just about resisting sanctions or surveillance, it was about rewriting the rules of sovereignty in an age of networks. Drones, data, and deception. The front line of this alliance is not in trenches, it is in the cloud. Turkish Bayraktar drones, once reliant on Western GPS inputs, now navigate using Chinese spatial AI systems, triangulated via Qatari orbital support. Every mission flown over Libya, Syria, or the Caucasus becomes a shared testbed. China watches, Turkey flies, Qatar funds. In 2020, a Turkish UAV disabled an American-backed rebel communications tower in northern Syria using signal interference mapped by Chinese satellite relays. The West blamed electronic fog. The Shadow Alliance called it success. Meanwhile, Qatar's own surveillance empire was expanding. The Emir's cyber units collaborated with Huawei technicians under the guise of infrastructure upgrades. The real upgrade: facial recognition layers woven into everything. From Doha's airports to private royal compounds, encrypted messages between Ankara and Beijing now bounce through mirrored relay stations deep beneath the Qatari desert. They are untraceable by five eyes. Intelligence analysts in Washington refer to them as ghost packets. But deception runs deeper. A Turkish-backed foundation in Europe funds academic research that questions NATO's digital hegemony. A Chinese media agency pumps pro-Qatar content across Southeast Asia in 10 languages. Influence operations once fragmented are now synchronized, and the deception, no flag ever flies. Every move is deniable, every gain measured in silence. One of the most chilling developments came in 2022 when Turkish drones, flying under false transponder codes, simulated NATO flight paths and entered contested airspace near Crete. Greek radar failed to track them. Why? Because their digital echo had been overwritten, scrubbed in real time by Chinese spoofing tech installed months earlier in northern Cyprus. At the same time, Qatar's Ministry of Intelligence trialed predictive modeling software designed by a joint Turkish-Chinese firm in Izmir. The platform, disguised as a logistics tool, was in fact a sentiment tracker, capable of mapping descent in populations based on heat maps, biometric stress indicators, and online behavior. The emir, briefed personally, approved its silent rollout across select Gulf states. This isn't just surveillance, it's weaponized prediction, and it's being traded, tested, and deployed under the veil of cooperation. 3 nations, 1 frequency. NEOM's silent partner. Saudi Arabia's NEOM project is widely seen as MBS's bold dream, but few know that its quietest architect walks the halls of Doha. Qatar's sovereign wealth fund, through veiled investment conduits in Singapore and Hong Kong, has funneled over $12 billion into NEOM-linked infrastructure. The goal, not ownership, influence. By embedding early in NEOM's smart grid and AI stack, technologies contracted out to Chinese developers, Qatar ensured that the brain of MBS's future city runs through the fingers of Beijing and Doha. The surveillance, the traffic flow, the biometric access controls, it's not just about monitoring citizens, it's about watching the watchers. In 2021, a private incident at NEOM's tech headquarters triggered a shutdown. Officially, a fire drill. Internally, a breach in Qatari-coded access systems. The message from Doha was clear: Saudi Arabia's future would never be independent of its rivals. China watched silently. It had seen this tactic before. In Hong Kong, in Myanmar, in Djibouti, silent partnerships aren't about equality, they are about leverage. And Qatar, though small, has become the fulcrum. Behind the curtain, this alliance is shifting power without a single bullet. The battlefield is architecture, and NEOM is ground zero. NEOM's AI brain, called Omega, was partially coded by Chinese engineers who once worked in deep learning divisions affiliated with the Ministry of State Security. While public-facing components emphasize green cities and futuristic mobility, the back-end integrates security protocols that align with Beijing's algorithmic governance model. Qatar negotiated direct access to select Omega datasets, ostensibly for urban benchmarking, but those datasets contain metadata on heat signatures, pedestrian tracking, and anomalous behavioral cues. In a leaked file labeled Blue Iris, Qatari agents reportedly used NEOM data to shadow a Saudi defense contractor suspected of leaking sensitive information to American firms. NEOM was meant to be a symbol of Saudi independence. Instead, it's become a listening post for allies wearing masks. The energy equation. Every empire runs on fuel, and the Shadow Alliance knows it. Qatar is the world's second-largest exporter of liquefied natural gas. Turkey controls critical pipeline corridors into Europe. China, the planet's hungriest consumer, is desperate to secure its future. Together they've constructed an energy pact so complex, even seasoned economists can't fully trace its veins. While American firms try to dominate LNG contracts in Asia, Chinese companies quietly lock 20-year deals with Qatargas on terms never disclosed to Western monitors. In 2019, Turkey's energy ministry signed a strategic resilience accord with China's State Grid Corporation, embedding Chinese sensors along Anatolian energy routes. The aim? Real-time rerouting in case of sanctions or sabotage. Qatar funds floating LNG terminals along Turkey's Mediterranean coast. Chinese engineers build them, Turkish commandos protect them. The result? An energy corridor invisible to NATO, untouchable by Western sanctions. The real brilliance lies in redundancy. For every visible pipeline, there's a shadow one. For every signed contract, a back-channel clause. In a crisis, the alliance can cut off energy to Europe, reroute it east, and still profit. Washington sees gas. The alliance sees leverage. In late 2022, Qatar completed a silent acquisition of a controlling stake in a Cypriot LNG storage hub via a shell company based in Shanghai. This node now acts as a pressure valve, capable of rerouting supply on an hour's notice depending on geopolitical winds. Beijing refers to it internally as the TAP. Turkish energy researchers developed a simulation model codenamed Eclipse Flow, capable of predicting energy panic points in Europe up to 1 month in advance. It factors in weather, elections, media cycles, and even strikes. In crisis scenarios, it feeds data into Chinese logistics AI to coordinate response timings. This isn't just energy independence. It's energy blackmail, precision-coded, and through it all, the alliance stays silent, because power, when invisible, is almost always absolute. The Whisper War. It's not bombs or bullets, but narratives. That's where the Shadow Alliance wins. Qatari media outlets, led by Al Jazeera's digital wing, push soft critiques of US policy under the guise of independent journalism. Chinese video platforms flood TikTok with pro-Turkey and anti-NATO sentiment. Turkish producers launched docudramas romanticizing Ottoman resistance to Western occupation. It's coordinated chaos, dressed as culture. Cyber-influence teams, often moonlighting as academics or journalists, embed themselves in think tanks from London to Jakarta. They insert questions, plant ideas, shift Overton windows. The goal isn't to change minds overnight, it's to saturate the world in alternative truths. One operation, codenamed Honey Circuit, linked Qatari influencers with Chinese data bots. Their target? Undermine confidence in US elections across the Arab world. Another, Ottoman Echo, blended Turkish nostalgia with modern Chinese aesthetics, targeted directly at disillusioned youth in Central Asia. No bullets, just bandwidth. In a world drowning in information, silence is no longer neutral, it's tactical. And the Shadow Alliance speaks volumes by saying nothing at all. A deeper layer of this narrative war involves academic laundering. Chinese universities partner with Qatari think tanks to produce peer-reviewed studies that subtly question Western democracy models. These papers are then cited by Turkish media outlets, looped back through Chinese-run international journals, and finally quoted in English-language op-eds across Europe. It creates a self-reinforcing illusion of consensus, one that questions American reliability, frames NATO as antiquated, and positions the alliance as a voice of reason in an unstable world. AI-generated avatars are also now speaking on behalf of this alliance. In 2023, a virtual Qatari news anchor fluent in 10 languages began delivering opinion pieces scripted by a joint Chinese-Turkish agency. Her broadcasts, shared via private Telegram channels and fringe networks, receive millions of views with no traceable origin. The battle for hearts and minds is no longer fought in newsrooms. It is coded, cloned, and camouflaged. This is not misinformation. It is engineered belief. In the age of overt diplomacy and televised warfare, the real empires are built in silence. The shadow alliance between Qatar, Turkey, and China doesn't need declarations or flags. It thrives on subtlety, on ambiguity, on deniability. Washington may hold the old keys to power, but a new network is being etched across borders and beneath oceans, fueled by ambition, protected by tech, and veiled in strategic culture. The question isn't whether the alliance exists, it's how far it's already gone. And in the grand halls of policy and palace, only one truth whispers louder than any speech. Power no longer needs permission. Would you trust a world run by invisible alliances? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One reply will win a mystery luxury gift.